Oh, good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys. Welcome into the live. We are here again this morning doing what we do over here every morning. Every morning we gather here and in our quest to read the Bible in its entirety, we read a few chapters a day. Now, we are going sort of in chronological order, but as we have been reading, we noticed that the Bible isn't written in chronological order. The stories that were that are compiled in the Bible are stories that were written over hundreds and thousands of years. And when it was decided that the Bible was going to be compiled, the authors then they selected which writings they were going to put in the Bible and which they were going to leave out. And to that end, they have given us 66 books, but we know that there are a lot more than just 66. And as we have been reading, we have been told in the readings that there are other books that we need to read to help us with the clarifications and to help us understand even more what the Bible is trying to tell us. So I want to welcome you all this morning as we continue to read the book of Isaiah. Now, the book of Isaiah is rather interesting, maybe confusing even. Um, it's surprising that we are reading the book of Isaiah at this particular moment when the war has broken out in Israel, and Isaiah is sort of prophesying something similar and talking about this event occurring not at any particular time, but saying, the Jews will be attacked and their enemies will cause great harm to them. And it's a little bit confusing because honestly, I am not too sure if it is saying that God is going to allow the enemy to win over Israel as a punishment to Israel, or if it is saying that Israel shall win the war. I am neither for going yea nor nay because I'm neither for nor against any of the warring parties. I'm neither for nor against. I am just neutral because of how if you know the history of how Israel was created there, this modern day Israel, because we know that Israel was in existence thousands of years ago, even before the Bible was written. We know that Israel existed because the children of Israel got out of Egypt, they went to the wilderness, then they got out the wilderness and they started to slay all the people, all the kingdoms, all the dynasties. They started to slay the kings and slay the inhabitants and take over those lands. They did that on the east of the River Jordan. They did that when they crossed over into Jericho, and they continued to spread out because remember, there was a lot of them. They numbered in the hundreds of thousands. And so, with that being so many of them, when they spread out, the people were afraid because they're like, when this tribe of people come, they take over just about everything. And that's what they were doing, slaying the people, taking the lands, until they established themselves so far and so wide that when David ruled, he ruled over such a vast area that the other people in the region were like second class citizens. because the Jews got all the rights and privileges. And then David handed down to his son Solomon, and Solomon sort of maintained that status quo. And then when Solomon handed it down to Rehoboam, they're young, young people. If you want your legacy to be maintained, you know then let me give to young people. Because young people, them a work for it. So they don't know the value of it, they not take care of it. The next thing you know, them take it give it to them friends and stuff. And that was what started to happen with the kingdom of Israel. Rehoboam, he faced the challenge with Jeroboam, and then the kingdom was divided at that point. But after him and his son Abijah and the others, I don't think they really cared. And so they just sold land to the Arabs, they sold land to the Syrians, they sold land and sold and they sold. And before they knew it, the kingdom of Jerusalem was reduced to nothing because there was no longer any land that was theirs. And then the quote unquote enemies started to take over, made them into slaves and drove them out. And they had to go far away to Ethiopia and India and wherever else. They had to run away to seek refuge. And then the Syrians knocked down Jerusalem, knocked down the walls, desecrated the temples, knocked down all the holy statues and everything that they had erected in service of their Judaic God. And so Israel laid in waste over the years and years and years until until the United Nations decided that, well, Israel really do need a home. The Jews really do need a home. The Jews that were in Germany were slaughtered by Hitler. The Jews who were in the Middle East, they were slaughtered and chased out by the Arabs and the Syrians and all. So the Jews really had no place to call home. And it was eventually decided that they will separate Palestine. Why did they choose Palestine? I'm not sure, but I believe they chose Palestine because remember that between 1920 and 1940, for about 30 years, Palestine, England was in control of Palestine. So I guess that's how England determined that they were going to separate Palestine in two and give a portion of it to the Jews to call Israel, and then the other portion, the Palestinians would continue to inhabit the other portion. But the Palestinians, they didn't want to give up their land, and certainly not to the Jews. They did not. Those people down there didn't want the Jews back in the region because historically they had driven them out and they didn't want them back. But by brute force, the United Nations went down there and cut the people's land in two and give a portion of it to establish the Jewish state of Israel. And ever since, there has been war and war and war, and the war is never going to end because those people don't believe that they should have been forced off their land. And Israel is not giving it up. So is the war ever going to end? I don't know. Joe, what's up? You were thinking about me last night. Oh, that is so sweet, Jojo. That is so. You just made my day. You just made my day, my love. Thank you so much. I must say that think about me. I did I work so hard. I'm tired as a ghost. And see what time it is? I'm still, I'm still in the parking lot at work because I remember I told you yesterday I was gonna stay over and get some things done, and I have been trying to get these things done since this morning. From 7 o'clock, I'm come out from 7 o'clock this morning. I'm just come out. Me just say, you know something. I don't know what it is that is happening. I'm go sit down in my car and read the Bible, and maybe if the people them email me back, I just go back inside, go get some more stuff done. If not, me I go go home, me have a million things to do. Go home, do some stuff, and maybe come back down here. Either later tonight, no, I'm not coming up tonight, not at all. Or maybe early tomorrow morning, because those are the only time I'm going to have to think about, to see if we talk about things, to see if these people can help me get this stuff done. But anywho, this morning we are going to be reading again from the book of Isaiah. Don't forget, guys, we do not endorse any particular religion or denomination over here. What we are simply trying to do is to read the Bible for ourselves so that we can have our own understanding of the Bible. Yeah. So for those of you who are here with me, get your book Bible or your Google Bible, and let's read together. We are on to Isaiah chapter 29 and 30. Wow, 30 long. It's going to take us about an hour. But let's read. Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let them kill sacrifices. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as Ariel. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with a mount, and I will raise forts against thee. And thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. Moreover, the multitude of thy strangers shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the terrible ones shall be as chaff that passeth away. Yea, it shall be at an instant suddenly. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, even all that fight against her and her munition, and that distress her, shall be as a dream of a night vision. It shall even be as when a hungry man dreams, and behold, he eats, but he awakes, and his soul is empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreams, and behold, he drinks, but he awakes, and behold, he is faint, and his soul hath appetite. So shall the multitude of all the nations be that fight against Mount Zion. So you hear this is what the Bible is saying. All the nations that fight against Mount Zion. When it talks about Mount Zion, it is talking about Israel. Because remember now, the Zionists are the people who are pro-Israel, who are for the establishment and maintenance of the Jewish state. So here in the Bible, it is saying that the enemies of Israel will be hungry and thirsty, like a man who sleeps and dreams of food, dreams of eating food. But when he wakes up, he's still hungry because it was only a dream. The man who in his dream, he dreams of drinking water, of quenching his thirst. But when he awakes, he's still thirsty because the quenching was only in his dreams. Verse 9 says, Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he said, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hidden. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who sees us? And who knows us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, for shall the work for shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He hath no understanding? It is not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that made a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands, in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the God of Israel. Verse 24, and this is the last verse of chapter 29. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmured shall learn the doctrine. Here ends the reading of oops, Isaiah chapter 29. We are going to move on to Isaiah chapter 30. So come along with me, guys. Isaiah chapter 30. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of mine, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor be an help nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach. The burden of the beasts of the south into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence came the young and old lion, the viper and fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches, their treasures, upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. For the Egyptians shall help in vain, and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still. Verse 8 says, Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, See not, and to the prophets, Prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Ah, yeah, man. Them no want to hear the truth. I'm gonna ask the prophets to tell them lies. Don't tell us the truth. Remember, it was the same thing with Elisha. They say Elisha not to tell them the truth, him to prophesy false things. Elisha said, I cannot do that. As the word comes to me, so will I give it to you. Let us continue. Verse 11. Verse 11 says, Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore, thus said the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, because he despised this world, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it assured, assured to take fire from the earth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus said the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and he would not. But he said, No, for we will flee upon horses. Therefore shall ye flee, and we will ride upon the swift. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, at the rebuke of five shall he flee, till he be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, and as an ensign on a hill. And therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. When he turn to the right hand, and when he turn to the left, he shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth, Thou shalt say unto it, Get thee hence. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, that thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise, and the young asses that ear the ground, shall eat clean provender, which hath been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every high mountain, and upon every high hill, rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. It seems like October 7th was the day of the great slaughter. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. I guess because there was an eclipse. There was an eclipse this past weekend. And the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound. Behold, the name of the Lord cometh from afar, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire, and his breath as an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sift of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. He shall have a song, as in the night, when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart, as when one goeth with a pipe to come unto the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall shew the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down with smart with a rod, and in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old, yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord take a steam of brimstone, doth kindle, like a steam of brimstone doth kindle it. Here is the reading of Isaiah chapter 30. And we hear the of the enemies and Israel. We see that that is our current reality. That's where we are going to end the reading this morning, my friends. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the reading and to those who will come in after it is done. I want to say thank you all so much. Don't forget to hit the like button when you come into the live stream, guys. And that's going to be it from me for now. Until next time, my friends, this is Trev from Treveston, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.